Welcome to Frontlines. I'm Karnig Kerkonian, joining you today as always with my co-host and friend, Ghazarian. We welcome our viewers from across the United States and Canada, from Europe and the Middle East, from Australia and South America, and of course, from Armenia and Artsakh. We come to you today from our new home on Zartong Media. You can still catch us live on our Facebook page as always, but starting today, we will be streaming live simultaneously on all of Zartong Media's global platforms. We are proud to join the Zartong family. He has been a powerful voice for truth and justice in the national parliament in Turkey, a bright advocate of human rights in a country plagued with one of the worst human rights records in the modern world. He's been a symbol of bravery and defiance in Turkey, an Armenian who stands like a lone tower on the floor of the Turkish parliament each year to mark the anniversary of the Armenian Genocide, holding photos, calling out the names of the Armenians eliminated from history when a regime decided that genocide against the Armenians was the only answer. For that, he's earned a unique place in Armenian history. He's championed the defense of human rights in a society that has destroyed his people and his heritage. And he has paid a heavy price for this. A victim of threats against his life, he's been targeted by attempts to strip him of his parliamentary immunities, and he has been subjected to beatings in government sessions, all because he has chosen to stand in defense of his convictions, of his history, of his identity, and of the memory of his ancestors. In fairness, while some find strength in many of his views, others note positions that are more controversial, positions with which some do not agree. In the end, he is a committed voice in a complex state in an even more complicated geopolitical reality. Our job today is to unpack some of this with him, to understand how he sees the future of Armenia-Turkey relations and what his thoughts are on the reality that the Armenian nation faces in the region. And with that, I will turn it over to my co-host, Garo Ghazarian, to introduce our special guest.
Գազեքսիրելի հայրենագիցներ Հայաստանի մեջ, Արցախի մեջ եւ համայն սփյուռքի մեջ։ Այսօրվա մեր հյուրը իմ սիրելի սրտի մոտիկ անձնավորություն կհամարեմ ընկեր, որովհետեւ անգլերենով ինչպես կսեն, there's often one degree of separation between two people եւ Garo Paylani մեր այսօրվա հյուրի եւ իմ միջև գոյություն ունի ցավոք սրտի հանգուցյալ Էդվին Մինասյանը, որ մեր երկուքին գաբած էր, որ մենք շատեր ունեցած ենք փախտը գաբվելու Բոլսահայ քաղաքի հետ եւ Թուրքահայաստանի Թուրքիո ասկային կորզիչ Garo Paylani հետ։ Ներկայացնեմ Garoին անգլերեն լեզվով։ Garo Paylan is a politician in Turkey of Armenian descent. Yes. He is a member of the Grand National Assembly of Turkey for the People's Democratic Republic, representing, I want to say, Dikranagert, commonly nowadays known as Diyarbakir. He became one of the first Armenian members of Turkey's parliaments in decades. He was born in Istanbul in 1972 to an Armenian family originally from Malatya. Graduated from Istanbul University's School of Business, became a director of various Armenian schools in Istanbul, and thereafter a director for a project that promoted multilingual education. Garo Paylan first joined the Peace and Democratic Party in 2011. He then represented the interests of Armenians within the party and soon joined other activists, starting the People's Democratic Congress, becoming a member of its Central Committee. He is one of the founding members of the People's Democratic Party, HDP, and was part of its Central Committee. On June 7, 2015, he was elected into the Grand National Assembly as a representative of Istanbul's 3rd electoral district. He was re-elected in the snap elections of November 2015. He was re-elected to the Grand National Assembly of Turkey in the parliamentary elections on 24th of June 2018. He currently is a member of the Turkish Parliament's Planning and Budget Committee. The state prosecutor for the Court of Cassation in Turkey, Bekir Sahin, recently filed a lawsuit before the Constitutional Court on the 17th of March 2021, demanding that Garo Paylan and 686 other HDP politicians be subjected to a 5-year ban from any political participation. This lawsuit was filed jointly with a request for the HDP to be shut down due to the party's alleged organizational links with the Kurdistan Workers' Party. The Human Rights Association of Turkey released a statement condemning the repetitive violence against Garo Paylan. The condemnation released by its Committee Against Racism and Discrimination stated that the attacks against Garo Paylan were due to his Armenian origin. The statement also condemned various racial slurs that were said to him, such as the Armenian bastard. So let me just say this. I am proud to welcome the Armenian brave son of Western Armenia, my friend Garo Paylan. Բարի եկաս Garo.
Բարի տեսանք Garo. Շնորհակալ եմ։
Բարի
տեսանք բարոն։
Amidst all of the talk today about Turkey-Armenia normalization talks, I want to ask you a very direct question. Is true normalization between Turkey and Armenia possible without Turkey's recognition of the genocide and reparations to Armenians and Armenia? In other words, can we have true normalization without truth?
Normalization does not mean solving all the problems. Let's say Turkey and Greece also have several problems. Now, Turkey has several problems with Greece, but their borders are open and they are doing direct trade, and there are direct flights to each other's countries, and they have the diplomats in each other's countries, and they are talking with each other directly to solve their problems. Normalization means this: to have normal relations between two neighbor countries. So this normalization process is really doable. That is what I think, because there is a window of opportunity for it to happen, and we have missed those two window opportunities after the first Great War after 1993. And we missed the second window opportunity in 2008, unfortunately. This is a third window opportunity for it to happen, and I think it is doable because all the political parties in Turkey are endorsing this normalization process, and also Hayastans government is pro this normalization process.
You know, we talk about normalization, and I'm reminded, Garo, of the late Hrant Dink's dream, if you will, and I believe he said that his biggest dream was the opening of the Armenian border gate, and he said, "The day it opens, I will go there." Do you have the same dream as Hrant Dink? And did I get this correct? Did you say that, you know, if we open the Armenian-Turkey border gate and name that border gate Hrant Dink, an Armenian from Turkey, you hope that that would happen so that the people of Armenia and Turkey make peace? I want to know, what is your understanding of the people of Armenia and Turkey making peace? Now, I know the government is one that denies the Armenian genocide. Are you of the opinion that the people of Turkey are ready to make peace with a certain understanding that their ancestors killed ours?
Garo, it is a really hard question. No. And it is for 106 years we are waiting for reconciliation. Now, and I lost my grandparents without peace and without reconciliation, and I lost my father as well, the second generation after the genocide. And I'm the third generation, and you might be the third generation as well, waiting for reconciliation. But how can we reach to that point? That is the question. For 106 years, we have been struggling for reconciliation, but we couldn't reach to that point. With shouting at the Turks or the Turkish government, it didn't work. We have been putting pressure on US administrations, French administrations to put pressure on Turkey, it doesn't work because of Turkish strategic importance. But I think with normalization processes, with two peoples to get to know each other, with having normal relations, I think we can get to that point. Because Turkey is not Erdogan. Turkey is not this nationalist government. Turkey is the peoples, let's say. In Turkey, there are millions of Democrats who are ready to recognize the Armenian genocide. And in my party, which HTP, recognizes the Armenian genocide, which is the third biggest party of Turkey. And other parties, let's say, in the ruling party, there are so many people who are ready to say something bad has happened because naming it genocide, and who are ready to talk about it, of course. And the peoples, let's say, most of them don't know anything about the Armenian genocide, but some of them, of course, knows that something bad has happened. So if we get to have normal relations and let's say with an open border, if two nations get to know each other and start to talk about that open scar, let's say, I guess at one point we can get to that justice point. That is what I think. That is what I believe. But if we put that precondition that if you don't recognize the Armenian genocide, I'm not having any relations with it, I guess who are going to be happy with it? Turkish nationalists, because they use it to, let's say, they don't want this problem to be solved. They use Armenian identity as an enemy, to consolidate the nationalists here. But people like me want to solve the problems and move forward, because Armenia have problems with its neighbors, Azerbaijan and Turkey, and Armenia needs to solve these problems, have open borders, have normal relations with its neighbors. And with that, of course, we can get to one point that to solve all our problems. Of course, to recognize the Armenian genocide is a very important thing for us, but how can we get to that point? That is the question. I guess with the normalization process, afterwards we can talk about it and solve that problem as well.
Garo, let me follow up very quickly. You have said that, I believe you just said again, that Erdogan is not Turkey, but yet he is currently the ruler of Turkey. And
yes,
while I view him as a pragmatic ruler, one that is trying to get some benefit out of what, in my opinion, quite frankly, was a disadvantage in him supporting Azerbaijan's attack onto Artsakh. He thought that he was going to have a hold in the region, and instead Russia came in, and Russia has a hold in the region. And so all of the efforts that he utilized and all this nonsense about two countries, one nation, Azerbaijan, Turkey, really was a flop for Erdogan. So now, if we're going to talk about normalizing relations between Turkey and Armenia, I would be more inclined to say, great, let's normalize, if I thought for a minute that Turkey was quasi-democratic institution, or rather a society. Do you think Turkey is anything remotely resembling democracy? I mean, Erdogan seems to do whatever he wants. Libya, Syria, Azerbaijan attacking onto Artsakh. What is the future of Turkey that is so promising that I, as a diasporan Armenian, and I, as a supporter of the Republic of Armenia and the Republic of Artsakh, am going to think this is good. This is good for my people.
Garo, Erdogan is an opportunist leader as well. Only 6 years ago, he was having a normalization process with the Kurds as well. And he was about to solve that problem, but he thought afterwards, I am losing votes with this normalization process with the Kurds. So he got rid of the table. Now, last year, as you said, he thought with the war, he could have some kind of a leverage on South Caucasus. But he saw, as you said, Russians had that leverage and he lost everything. So he thought with the war, I couldn't get that leverage. So with the peace, I might get that leverage, because he saw that in US, with the offensives in Libya, Syria, and Nagorno-Karabakh, nobody sees him as a rational leader. Now in Turkey, of course, he's putting more pressure on people. Now there are so many human rights violations in Turkey, but in the world, let's say, with the relations with Israel, Greece, and Armenia, if I normalize those relations, people might see me as a rational leader. That is why he is just telling about normalization in the world, but putting more pressure on people in Turkey. So I think he's an opportunist leader, and if he believes in something and if he tells about it, he goes for it until the day he thinks, I'm losing with this way, I have to change this. But now there is a window of opportunity, as I said. Erdogan wants this normalization process. Erdogan wants to open the borders, normalize relations with Armenia. So let's go for it. But I believe only a democratic Turkey can really normalize the relations with the Armenian world, not only with Armenia. Only a democratic Turkey or democratic Turkish government can recognize the Armenian genocide. That is what we are fighting for. And there are millions of Democrats in Turkey who are struggling for democracy, not only for Armenians, for the Turks, for the Kurds, for the Armenians as well. Together we are fighting for democracy. And if we get to that point, like we were on that road only a decade ago, let's say, we were commemorating the Armenian genocide on the Taksim Square, let's say, on one of the biggest squares of Turkey. Turkish people were to get to know about the Armenian genocide, and they were ready to recognize the Armenian genocide. If we get to that point again, I think we will solve all our problems. Not only for Armenians, we need democracy for Kurds, Turks, and Armenians. That is what we are fighting for. And I believe with a democratic government, with the democratic institutions, we will get to that point with struggle, of course.
I think I'm happy that we talked a little bit about the geopolitical context, because these normalization talks, of course, are happening in a certain moment in history, in a geopolitical context that exists at this moment. And I want to bring us forward to 2020, from the genocide to 2020. And we know that Turkey was an active and engaged military and also ideological partner in Azerbaijan's war of aggression against Artsakh in 2020. Turkey brought mercenaries from Syria to the war theater. It furnished attack drones which killed civilians and destroyed Armenian churches and children. Turkish drones and command control capabilities killed over 4,000 young Armenian boys. Garo, do you believe that the Turkish government bears responsibility for its actions against Artsakh Armenians? And if so, what do you believe those consequences should be?
In every war, every war is a catastrophe, and in every war people dies. From both sides, thousands of people died, suffered, and I was the one in Turkey to stop this war, and I was a target, because in the wars, everybody shouts about war, kill the others, but there are peacekeepers. I was trying to be a peacekeeper in Turkey, and I shouted for peace. And there is no point to have a war. Of course, for a peace, you need to really compromise. But both sides didn't compromise, and the war happened. And unfortunately, my government endorsed Azerbaijan and supported Azerbaijan and sold sophisticated weapons to Azerbaijan. I was in Armenia only 5 years ago and 4 years ago again. I warned Armenian government that Azerbaijan is buying sophisticated weapons from Turkey. And I warned all the Armenian world that this war will happen someday. And and people are going to suffer. But we had no peace plan. We were not ready to talk about it. We were only saying that they cannot come. We are ready to fight. We will fight and we will win again. That was a nationalist narrative the Armenian government used to use. But we saw that we were not ready for it, and people died. No, so of course, what Azerbaijan did was terrible. But we should think about it. What did we do wrong? No, really about it. So for this war, let's say we lost everyone. We can't get them back. But after the wars, after these kind of traumas, no, there are two ways to think about revenge or to think about peace. No, how can we secure Artsakh? How can we secure Armenia? How can we have a strong Armenia in the future? No, because we saw that we were not strong. And so on the right side and on the left side, there are two countries, Azerbaijan and Armenia, which are investing on sophisticated weapons. So you have two ways to invest to the sophisticated weapons with billions of dollars. Can you have that gun race with Azerbaijan and Turkey? I don't think so. Or there is another way to think about peace. That is what we should do. After this trauma. Now, if also I'm thinking about Turkey and Azerbaijan as well. There are millions of people in Azerbaijan and Turkey who are suffering economically, and their government, my government and Azerbaijani government, is investing in sophisticated weapons. So 3 countries are suffering. 3 peoples are suffering. Everybody is suffering just because of gun race. So we should think about reconciliation after this traumatic war. Of course, there are so many people to blame, including my government, of course, because of endorsing this war. I blamed it. That is why I was the target. But now it is time to think about really reconciliation and peace. And afterwards, of course, every side has to think about justice about this war, who were responsible. If we get to that point for reconciliation and peace, I think all 3 countries will get to that point who to blame about this war.
Garo, there's a common understanding that in a free market democratic society, countries often do not go to war so cavalierly because their rulers would have to answer to their voters and they would be voted out of office. But when you have autocracies, authoritarian regimes, such as the one I believe Turkey is, despite all of your best efforts and other political parties in Turkey, there does not seem to be an accountability. So therein lies my reservation when I hear about we should make peace. Okay, we should make peace. Of course, I don't want to see another drop of Armenian blood being shed. But at the same time, can I trust a ruler of a country who really answers to no one? Answers to no one and has been in power for 20 years. So I don't know, what drives your optimism. And I've known you for a number of years, and I've always found you to be optimistic beyond optimism. I mean, I'm optimistic about life, but you're beyond optimism. I want to ask you, what role do you think the current conflict that is going on in the Ukraine can play in the dynamics of Armenia, Artsakh security in the short term, if not in the long term? Because here we have what are sometimes buddies, friends, Erdogan and Putin, really having differences of opinion on interests. Of course, on the one side, we have NATO, where Erdogan seems to be masterfully playing both sides, making deals with Russia, but at the same time is the second largest power in NATO. And the Ukraine equation, to me, it seems to be an indicator of sorts what may come next. Do you think there's a connection between the crisis in Ukraine and the development of possible peace talks between Armenia and Turkey? I don't know that that's in Russia's interests. Do you?
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic, that I should say. Of course, I don't trust my government because as I said, there was a Kurdish normalization process and Erdogan just got rid of the table in a day. But there is a window of opportunity. These kind of window of opportunities really come in a decade or in 2 decades, and you lose it. And then you just don't normalize relations. Then you fight to have war, and you have dead bodies in your hands. There are catastrophes. So we need to benefit from this window of opportunity. That is what I think. But as you said, Erdogan is an authoritarian leader. But as I said, Turkey is not Erdogan. Of course, there is a bad machine in Turkey which commits crimes. And Erdogan is the mechanist of it. We should say about it. And there will not be an Erdogan I believe, in a year after the elections. Because the majority of the people are against Erdogan's ruling way. They don't like Erdogan's one-man ruled country. And we will change it. I'm sure about it. Most probably that's going to happen. Of course, it's going to be really chaotic in this 1.5 years. But after the elections, we are going to change it. It's struggle. But what is going to happen next? As I said, there is a window of opportunity, and there are really wars in the region. As you said, there might be a war in Ukraine again. So Russia is again active in all the regions of the Soviet Union and doesn't want anybody to have any kind of role in those regions, including South Caucasus. I believe last year's catastrophic war in Armenia and Azerbaijan would not happen without Putin's or Russian permission. Putin wanted that war, and used Turkey, unfortunately. And Erdogan could not understand it. I warned them that only Russia is going to win after this war. All 3 countries are going to lose: Turkey, Azerbaijan, and Armenia. And Russia will have the biggest leverage on the South Caucasus, and it happened. So, freedom means to be free by all the powers. Now, Armenia is not free at all, and Azerbaijan is not free. After this war, the Russian troops are in Azerbaijan, in Artsakh, and mostly Artsakh is controlled by the Russian forces nowadays. So we should think about it. Now, Ukrainians are shouting to the world to take care of them, but everyone is turning a blind eye on it. So they believe, how can we do it? Are we going to fight with Russians? No. What should we do to have those countries be strong, let's say, economically? Is Armenia strong economically? I don't think so. Of course, it is going better, but it is not that strong. Is it strong, let's say, militarily? No, it's not that strong. It is under Russian pressure. So I believe, with opening the borders, having trade with Turkey, and getting rid of the enemies with peace, not with war, I believe all 3 countries are going to get stronger. And all 3 countries will not thinking about investing to the weapons. Instead, they are going to invest to their people. That is my dream, of course. You can think Erdogan is an authoritarian leader. I am fighting with him. I am struggling because of his oppressions against my peoples. But still, I believe this is another case, Armenian case. There's a window of opportunity, so let's benefit from it. If we don't benefit from it, there will only be Russian leverage on Armenia and Azerbaijan, and there will be vicious circles, and Armenia will not be strong at all.
Garo, you said 3 countries. All 3 countries will benefit. What 3 countries do you have in mind? I don't want to misunderstand you.
Turkey, Azerbaijan, and Armenia, of course.
Okay.
Will benefit from peace process and normalization, of course.
And here's kind of where my concern is with the context here. And I'm just reminded of the images of Erdogan standing beside Aliyev in Baku at the victory parade after the war on Artsakh, and remembering the names of leaders who perpetrated the genocide against the Armenians. There clearly is a common ideology, right, between Aliyev and Erdogan, and it seems to accept the idea that ethnically cleansing Armenians is okay, that it's possible, that it's desirable, and that it will have no consequences. And, here's my question. For all the political opposition within their countries, both in Turkey and perhaps outside of Azerbaijan, yet against Aliyev, they have actual supporters. They have people who think along their lines that want to destroy Armenians, other human beings. I mean, here we are, it's 2022, yet the ideology of hate and ethnic destruction appears to be alive and well in Turkey and in Azerbaijan. If you would, can you explain to me how this ideology still persists among some people in Turkey, and how is it possible to maintain such hatred in society against Armenians that Erdogan is able to manipulate that and to use that support to supply mercenaries, drones, and even generals to Azerbaijan to oversee such a war? I mean, how is Erdogan able to convince people that such violence against Armenians is right?
No, Erdogan has a nationalist partner, which is the Nationalist Party, and they have a coalition, and their goal is to reach the Turkish world and to just establish a nationalist Turkey. And only 7 years ago, there was no coalition like that. And as an opportunist leader, Erdogan was talking about peace and reconciliation. And they had a peace plan, peace progress with the Kurds, as I said. And now, after the war, all the political parties, including the nationalist parties as well, in the parliament, I'm talking with them, they said, we lost after that war, and we couldn't get what we wanted. We couldn't reach the Turkish world, and in Azerbaijan there are Russian troops, and they took a lesson out of that war. Now they are thinking that with the war, all of us lost. Let's think about peace. No, that is a lesson. Unfortunately, it was a bloody lesson. We paid the price of it, and Azeris paid the price of it as well. So, if everybody thinks, no, all 3 countries have lost, and everybody got a lesson out of it, that is a window of opportunity for all those 3 countries. Of course, as you said, Erdogan made a pride and with Azeris, but those are all after the war. In a month, it happened. But when we sit with them, when we talk with them, they know that they lost as well.
I want to shift a little bit, Karnig and Garo, and ask you. You are part of a political party that is, I would like to think, interested in the rights of not only the Kurds, primarily the Kurds perhaps, but all minorities, right? But specifically the Kurds. Talk about Kurds. Kurds are being respected and these days. How many of your colleagues are still in Turkish prisons, Garo? I lost track, what's going on with your colleagues who just have been thrown in prison, and it's been years. What's going on? I mean, So I really want to embrace your cautious optimism, but I have to say I'm so skeptical because I know what goes on in your day-to-day life. So, what can you tell us?
No, about 9,000 of my colleagues are jailed now. 9,000, no, in these 6 years. 9,000, yeah, 9,000 of my colleagues, including my co-chairs and members of the parliament, are jailed now. And every day Erdogan is jailing more Kurds and activists and journalists, and unfortunately we are suffering. But no, as I said, only 6 years ago, no, he was having a process with the Kurds. Now there is, as I said, he will just put more pressure on this until the election day. I believe it, because we are the power now. We have 15% of the votes, and we'll decide who is going to be next president. And Erdogan believes if I put more pressure on HDP, People's Democratic Party, I will have the majority of the votes, but it's not going to happen. Whatever he does, we will struggle against his one-man ruled country. And Selahattin Demirtas, Figen Yüksekdağ, my co-chairs, are jailed for more than 5 years, but they are really doing their job in the jail. They are sending their messages, they are tweeting from there, thousands of my friends. And thousands of my friends are in exile in other countries, and they are doing their struggle there. So the struggle is going on. Now we are paying prices, of course, and Kurds are paying prices, and Turks are paying prices. We are living several crises. Not only we are having economic crisis at the same time, political crisis. All the crises are becoming at the same time. And people saw with the one-man rule, we don't have democracy, we don't have freedom, and we don't have bread as well. We are losing our food. They can't afford to pay their bills. So people saw this. That is why people are fed up with it and want to change this one-man ruled country. That is very important. And we have an opportunity to change it with the democratic way, with the elections. We are just waiting for that day. But I guess in the following months, if the world turns a blind eye on it, Erdogan might shut down our party and put a ban for us not to act politically, and they might jail us as well. We don't know. But we really don't think about it. Whatever he does, we will struggle, and we will turn Turkey into a democratic country. We are sure about it, really.
Now, I wanted to cue you with this question and answer, so I can come back and ask you one more time with one word. One word, downside. Is there a downside to this so-called normalization of relations between Turkey and Armenia? Surely there must be a downside, isn't there?
Yes and no, Garo. No, anytime Erdogan might say, okay, I'm not going on with this normalization process, but there is no point for him to really turn back, because there are goals in it. Two goals. One is to tell to the world that I am trying to make peace with the Armenians. That is very important for him, because nobody sees him as a rational leader. That is a card for him to use in the world, that I am making peace with the Armenians. That is very important for him to use this narrative in Washington, D.C., in Paris, in London, and in other countries. And he is using this now. And secondly, for the nationalists, as you know, he wants a so-called corridor between Azerbaijan and Turkey. And Armenia sees this as building roads between each other's countries, and they are going to use this as, okay, we have the roads, and moreover, trade. Erdogan is a businessman, no? And if we open the borders, in the eastern cities of Turkey will benefit from it. No, the ports of the Black Sea region will benefit from this. And he's a businessman, and he puts everything on the table. Now he thinks there is no point to not to do it. Of course, one day he might think with one reason, but I don't see that reason. But now but the reason is Azerbaijan, of course. He said, no, this normalization process is related to Armenia-Azerbaijan peace plan. That is it. And we will see what is going to happen. But why not having two pieces at the same time, two normalization processes at the same time, on the right side and on your left side? There are so-called enemies, of Armenia. So why not solving two problems at the same time? There is a really possibility for that.
I'm happy you brought that up, because I want to ask a question, Garo, about, first of all, let me say, one of the most striking images that a lot of Armenians throughout the world have of you is being on the floor of the national parliament, showing pictures of people, of our descendants, of our ancestors, in commemoration of the genocide, as well as showing historical places, the cultural heritage that we have in present-day Turkey as Armenians. And after seeing how, and it's clear that there has the history of Armenians this century in Turkey has not been a pleasant one. We have remnants of our heritage scattered throughout what is now Eastern Turkey, and we have our churches, we have homes of people that are lived in by other people, and there has been no reparation or even acknowledgement for that, which is a powerful act that you do from the floor of the Parliament building, and a very brave one, and I commend you on that. I wanted to ask you, after seeing, knowing that history, right, which is a very important history for all of us, knowing that history, and after seeing the recent war in 2020, and really the destruction of cultural heritage that is still ongoing, there's no question that Baku has attempted to erase Armenians from the region, like it did in Nakhichevan. This is known facts. I want to ask you, with that history of how Armenians have fared under Turkish rule, under Azerbaijani rule, as a humanitarian, I want to ask you, what do you really believe is the proper solution or resolution of the Nagorno-Karabakh crisis?
No, only 30 years ago, Azeris used to live in Armenia, in Yerevan, in other cities, and only 30 years ago, Armenians used to live in Baku and other cities of Azerbaijan. We should never forget about it. And I should say, only 106 years ago, I guess including your ancestors, we were living in Turkey, Anatolia, Mesopotamia, and I am from Malatya, and Garo's ancestors are from Turkey, and this is our land. This is really, Anatolia is ours as well. This is what I believe. And we shouldn't say, okay, this is Armenians. No, Artsakh is only Armenians' land, and Armenia is only Armenians, and Turkey is only for Turks, and Azerbaijan is only for Armenians. It was not like this. No, of course there were majorities and there were minorities in every city. We were living together. So my dream, as a peace, my dream is to establish safe havens for all the peoples. Let's say in Diyarbakir, the majority is the Kurds nowadays. 90% of the people are the Kurds. If the Kurds say, this is Kurdistan and this is, Diyarbakir is only for Kurds, I object to that, really. No, it is not like popular Armenians and Assyrians. So we shouldn't forget about it, and we should think about really those safe havens for all the peoples. Of course, respecting to each other, and of course, about our cultural heritage. I am just struggling for it, but with the open borders, what I believe, if people get to know each other, I guess with projects of renovating our cultural heritages, it happened in Ani, let's say, in Malatya, my church, my grandparents were baptized. We have just renovated church, and there are tens of churches which have been renovated. But of course, there are thousands of churches. I believe with an open border and trying to establish a peace, I guess our cultural heritage in Azerbaijan and in Turkey will be safer if we have normal relations, and we will renovate those churches. We will we will want to live in these cities again. I believe millions of Armenians will want to come here, these lands, and there will be tourism projects as well. There will be trade, and we will renovate our cultural heritages. We should think about it with the open borders, what kind of dreams we can have.
And I think, if I can follow up real quickly, I think there's the aspect of mindset, though. I think that in a sense, there's an appeal. That's an appealing concept to say that that we can essentially live together, right? I think that's what you are, what the essence of your. And I think that there's an appeal to that. I think in almost normal democratic societies that are neighboring each other, right? The United States and Canada, France and Germany, you have that, right? See, the problem here is there's actually two problems, main problems. One is there clearly is ethnic hatred being taught by Azerbaijan against Armenians. So that's so the first point I want to say is they're not prepared to live in peace. There needs to be some precondition among the society. That's number one. Number two, it's funny that today there was a report by the Azerbaijani Ministry of Culture that they are creating a group of Albanian experts to remove false names of Armenia from churches or false writings and inscriptions from Armenian churches and restore their true meaning, apparently. So while I agree, well, then I should say that there's a third point too. Why, we're dealing with Armenia that has really suffered a lot for its democracy. There is no question that it has chosen the path of democracy against all odds, really kind of almost shockingly under the circumstances. And the idea that we're bordered by autocrats should make a difference, right? I mean, there's no way that one can say that people should live or be forced to live under the rule of an autocrat. That doesn't make any sense, right? Nobody would want that, and nobody should want that from a human rights perspective. So again, we come to the idea of preconditions, and my question to you is, don't you believe that in order to have peace, there has to be a reversal of the indoctrination it's in Turkey, it's alive in Turkey, and we see it's alive in Azerbaijan. It's not so much patriotism as it is ethnic hatred. You can be proud to live in a country, but you don't have to hate the other. And I think that in Azerbaijan particularly, and in Turkey as well, we see that that's not necessarily the case. They cannot separate the idea of patriotism from ethnic hatred. How can we live together with neighbors that think like that? And my question then to you is, how does a society reverse that thinking? How do they change that thinking?
I know thousands of Azeris, who are Democrats, who wants to live peace with the Armenians together. And how can the autocrats sustain their power, Baron Karnig? With the enemy, of course. They need an enemy. How could Aliyev, with a corrupt government, sustain his power for decades? He is stealing from his people and putting those money in the corrupt heavens, let's say. But because he benefited from this so-called Armenian enemy. He stole from his people, invested in sophisticated weapons, and that is how he sustained his power. So if we get that card from him, so-called enemy Armenian card, I guess he's going to lose his power, most probably. And it is the same for Erdogan, let's say. He is benefiting from so-called enemy Kurd, enemy Armenian, enemy Greek. If we take those cards from him, let's say people will say, why are we buying those sophisticated weapons instead of giving bread to the people? They are going to ask for it. And it is going to happen. I'm sure about it, because Azerbaijan people, 5% of them are very rich and 95% of them are poor. And in Turkey, it's like that. You can't believe only 3-5% of people are rich here and 90% of them are poor, just because of this nationalist system. So if we should take those enemy cards from those autocrats, that is what I believe, to get rid of these autocratic governments.
Do you think that... Go ahead, Karnig. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, it comes down to the chicken or the egg, right? In my view, I feel like democratic transition in these countries, in Turkey and in Azerbaijan, is a precursor. It's a precondition to having real normalization or real peace. In other words, with autocratic regimes still in place, one cannot rely on the overtures made towards a peaceful resolution or drawing borders or what have you. But that is probably just a difference of opinion. I think that I understand your point, and I guess it's just a matter of which should come first. And I think from perhaps a little bit more conservative standpoint, yeah.
Baron Karnig, don't we have a saying that Turk is a Turk? Some Armenians use that. Turk is a Turk. No, they don't believe a Turk can be a Democrat. No, a Turk cannot never wants a peace with Armenians. It's not like that. No, sometimes we believe in that. No, there are so many people in Turkey who wants to live in peace, really. But as you said, they are taught for hatred, hate speeches. Like Jesus says, Father, they know nothing, So we should, maybe this is our destiny to teach them that how to establish peace. And we should say that you are my brother, like Jesus said, love your enemy. How can we do that, really? How can we teach them? Because we are the people who used to live together with these people. They were not hating us at all. We were living together. So we are the ones who need to teach them how to make peace. Maybe this is our destiny. Also to benefit from it, of course, because we need it as Armenians, as Armenia, to have a strong Armenia, peaceful Armenia, really. So we should really think about it. As I said, this is a window of opportunity. If we solve our problems with our neighbors, I guess it's going to help the ones who are struggling for democracy in Azerbaijan and in Turkey. There are thousands of Azeris who are living in exile just because of Aliyev's authoritarian regime. Now, don't you think someday, Azerbaijan is going to be a democratic Azerbaijan? I think about it; it's going to happen. It's not sustainable at all. But there are, of course, authoritarian, regimes in all over these regions. But no, you fought against, let's say, Mr. Trump, let's say in US, and American people fought against his ruling way, and they got rid of him. Let's say now this is a never-ending struggle to reach democracy. We should think about it and how to make Armenia. We should think about how to make Armenia strong again. And make not only that Armenia, that region, because Turkey is Armenia, Azerbaijan is Armenia as well, and Azerbaijan is Armenia, and Armenia is Azerbaijan as well. We should think about it. If we say Nagorno-Karabakh is only for Armenians, I think we are doing something wrong, because also Azeris used to live there as a minority. So we should think how to make Armenians and Azeris live together in Artsakh together again.
Garo,
I'm a romantic. I must admit, I'm a romantic.
I love you. You're my brother, but you are breaking my heart with some of your romanticism. And I'll tell you why. You say that we used to live together, Armenians and Turks, we live together in peace. But I don't know, maybe I studied a different history book when I was growing up in the ghetto of Beirut, with so many people speaking Turkish because they were forced to speak Turkish during the Ottoman years because they were fearful for being identified as Armenians. I don't think that we lived in peace. That's like saying, the Indians lived in peace under the British Empire. I've talked to plenty of Indians who dare to disagree with that characterization. Or any empire. The Ottoman Empire ruled what I view to be Western Armenia for 600 years. Were there peaceful times? Of course there were. Were we equal citizens? At times we were. But they killed our Krikor Sohrabs, and how many of their Krikor Sohrabs did we kill? I dare say we did not. And so I want to really embrace and I'm glad you called it romanticism. Romanticism is fine to a certain extent. I'm certainly a romantic at heart in many respects about life and people. But how am I supposed to reconcile that we are going to be able to have peace, Garojan, with Turkey, who considers Azerbaijan its little brother, who went into Artsakh and just killed civilians, literally helpless civilians, just cut the throat off of an elderly person and videotaped it. And for that, they created a park and they glorified all that crap.
Because they were taught to hate each other. They were taught, those young Azeris were taught to hate Armenians, just like the Nazis in Germany, taught those German boys to hate Jews. They committed a genocide as well. But afterwards, Germans got rid of those Nazis, and they said, "We are sorry." And there are stones in front of every house showing that Nazis took these Jews and took to Auschwitz and killed them. And they said sorry. But look, Garo, if we can't have a dream for recognition, we can't at that point. We can say that in 1915 a genocide had happened, and we will always blame Turks, their ancestors, for that. It is no good. It is that we can't heal our ancestors' souls with that. We can only heal their souls and live, with peace, with reconciliation, with Turks to say something bad has happened, and we are sorry. And if we can have some kind of milestones in Malatya, in Kayseri, in Dikranegert for our ancestors, and we can renovate our churches, and we can have a dream to again live in these countries, that is my dream. No, of course, no, I might also think that I sometimes think nothing is going to be good, no, because there are nationalists here, there are Nazis here, and nothing is going to be good for, but Germans struggled for it, no, and the world have struggled for it. So the struggle must go on for reconciliation. As you said, good days happened, bad days happened, and they killed us. They committed genocide. But who to blame? Let's think about who to blame. Enver Pasha, Talat Pasha, that government, and all those soldiers. Of course, we should blame them. But do we have the right to blame their grandchildren? I don't think so. We can only blame them for not making peace with the Armenians and not saying sorry about the Armenian genocide. We can only blame them for that. That is what I think. And with the reconciliation, I think we are going to make them, let's say, if the America didn't reconcile, let's say, with the black people, what would happen? Can the American people for centuries, the slavery have continued? No, if the black people have said, we will never forgive you, what would happen? So we should be the ones who to forgive really Turks if we can get reconciliation.
I think, Garo, I want to just jump in here. I'm happy you brought up the example of the Nazis and World War II and some of the other examples, because as Garo, my co-host, knows, I've been working on 8th grade social studies with my son over the last few days, so I'm well versed on the World War II today. And I want to say one of the main differences we have, you said the Germans said sorry. Neither the Azeris nor the Turks have said sorry. In fact, they've said the opposite. In fact, their conduct has only built on that. That's number one. Number two, there was a precondition for normalization of Germany into Europe. And that was not only getting rid of the authoritarian autocrats and the fascists, but also the acts of reparation and teaching in the schools the fact of what their ancestors did. Here, we are running towards normalization and peace, but those preconditions are not there yet. And I don't mean that in terms of demands. Their societies are not, when I say their, Turkish and Azeri society is not functioning like the Germans after World War II. The Germans after World War II were forced to acknowledge. And I think this is where where I find the most interesting aspect to this is that we can run to peace and we can try to teach. That's fine. However, they're not ready to learn because the rest of the world has not said that autocracy and fascism and hatred is not right. They have not forced them to their knees like they forced Nazi Germany to its knees. In fact, that has caused, I would argue, that a lot of the rhetoric that fueled, you were mentioning earlier, pan-Turanism and the growth of Turkish, these fascist ideas were ideas that Mussolini had, that Hitler had, that Tojo had in Japan in World War II. These are fascist ideas. And without ending the fascist ideology, you cannot come to peace. And I want peace. Everybody, I think, wants peace, and nobody wants to sacrifice children. I don't want any children to die. I think that it's a bad thing. I believe that. But I also believe that structural changes need to take place in these two states, and a lot of that work is the work that you and your colleagues are doing. Yeah, but I think a lot of that is internal. I think a lot of that is internal. But I don't think that we as Armenians are the ones that are going to be able to teach that, because they are emboldened by the rest of the world. The rest of the world doesn't see that as a problem, unfortunately. I feel that and I don't say this as preconditions to negotiations. I'm not talking about that. When I say preconditions, there are things that need to take place in society, in Turkish society and Azeri society, before. And I don't think it's necessarily romanticism. I think it's the ideal. I think we should all work towards living in peace with our neighbors. However, we cannot do that when there are, where Aliyev is saying that we're going to erase writings from the churches, where he's saying that Armenian dogs, he's calling our language that is ready for peace. And I feel that is one of the preconditions structurally. And I think that's why the work that you do in Turkey is so important, because without that liberal-mindedness of accepting the other, we're never going to get there, unfortunately. I don't think. Sorry, go ahead.
Baron Karnig, no, I think there is no day about when you always say day. Day means something solid. In Turkey, I don't see any day, because there are nationalists, there are ultra-nationalists, there are Democrats and ultra-Democrats, let's say, in Turkey. And there are, as I said, there are millions of people who are ready to recognize the Armenian genocide. This is important. And I know thousands of Azeris who says Aliyev is no good for our country and we should change that administration. So these are important things. Let's say we have also, as Armenians, have nationalists as well who hate Turks, let's say. Don't we have ultra-nationalists? Yes, we have. Don't we have people who hate Turks, so-called Turks? Yes, we have. So these are vicious circles. How are we going to break these vicious circles? That is the question. As you said, Nazis, Germans said sorry because Nazis have lived a defeat. But Turkish nationalism have never lived a defeat. Because the Western powers, including US, turned a blind eye on Turkey and appeased Turkey. And still they are appeasing Turkish nationalism just because of their interests, unfortunately. So who to blame, let's say? After the First World War, Ottomans led a defeat, but just because Turkey said, I'm going towards Russia, and Brits, French, and US said, oh, don't go, I'm going to appease you. I'm not going to blame you about the Armenian genocide. You go for it. And who to blame, let's say? Who are we going to blame? Only the Turks? No, I'm blaming America. I'm blaming Brits, French people, because they are still appeasing them. They are still turning a blind eye human rights violations here. So who to blame? We should think about it. So are we going to trust Americans? No, I'm not trusting at all. I'm not trusting Brits. I'm not going to trusting French because they are only thinking about their interests. So we as the people of Anatolia, Mesopotamia, South Caucasus, think about it. They are playing their games here. Russians, Americans, and we are fighting. And our boys are dying, unfortunately, in these vicious wars. So, as the Democrats of Turkey, Azerbaijan, and Armenia, we should think about it. And we should never live that kind of a vicious war again. Because I'm so sorry about all the boys that died, including the Azeri boys. I'm so sorry about them. And they were innocent because they were taught, those Azeri boys with that fascist Azerbaijani regime to hate the Armenians. But if people like Hrant Dink could gather those Armenian and Azeri boys, I'm sure in an hour, Hrant Dink would make peace between those Azeri and Armenian boys, telling about their story. So we should think about it really. I believe you think that this is a romantic dream. But no, maybe there is a 99% of no, I will not succeed this peace process. But if there is 1% of possibility to make normalization and peace, I will work for it, and I want all the Armenians to work with me. Of course, we might not succeed, but what if we succeed? We will save our boys, and we will save Armenia, and we will make Armenia as a greater, powerful country, and we will live in peace. That is the possibility. So we should think about it. And for the future of Armenia, we should think about it, because countries are, getting richer and just investing in technology and other things. If we can't do that in Armenia and Turkey, I think that those countries will be poor forever. So what if we make these countries members of the democratic society? That is what we should think about it. I think I know you believe that this dream is behind the mountains. Okay, you might think about it like that. You might think Azerbaijan and Turkey will never be a democracy. I don't think like that, because there is a struggle. If there is struggle, there is hope.
I think they will.
Go ahead,
I think
Garo,
they will be. No, I think they will be democracies. They're just not now. They are not currently democracies, nor do I see that they're about to be democracies in the
Yes, you are right. You are right, Garo.
That's my concern.
Yeah.
So
you are right.
Because
you are right.
I got you to agree with me. Okay. My last area that I just want to touch upon, and I could talk to you for hours, is everything you say, and if I say, okay, all of these things are going to go the way Garo's cautious optimism is, Garo Paylan's cautious optimism, not this Garo. Do you see a future where the Armenian in Artsakh, as commonly publicly known as the Nagorno-Karabakh, I suppose, is going to be able to live and have a future and determine his or her own destiny? Under what circumstances do you think that could possibly take place? As a part of Azerbaijan, or as an independent autonomous state, or what appears to be the case now, essentially a Russian satellite territory, for all its intents and purposes, with my utmost respect to my brothers and sisters in Artsakh, their safety and security seems to be dependent on the Russian armed forces, so I have to say it the way I said it.
No, Garo, as you said, unfortunately, Artsakh is a garrison of Russia now. Like in Georgia, there are garrisons of Russia. In Ukraine as well, there are garrisons of Russia. So I believe, Artsakh people, Armenians, turn their faces to Russia, more to Yerevan, because it is dependent to Russia for them to live. So we should really think about it, because Russia made that deal with Azerbaijan and Armenia for years, for decades. They are going to be there, and Nagorno-Karabakh's Armenians will believe that only if the Russians are here, we will be safe. So Russians will be there, and they will decide when Azerbaijan and Armenia to make peace. So this is no good for Azerbaijan and Armenia at all, and this is no good for the Nagorno-Karabakh people, because they will always think that if we do something wrong to Russia, are going to just take their troops from here, and Azeris are going to kill us. How can you live under that kind of a threat? But if we can make peace, the Russian leverage will be, we will not read that Russian leverage. But what I believe is, will Russia want that peace? because Russia always benefits from conflicts in all the territories of his those countries in Ukraine, in Georgia, in Armenia, and other countries benefits from conflicts. But if we get rid of those conflicts, we will really we will determine our destiny. Now, as Armenians of Asah are not to determine really about their destiny. Really, we should think about it as well. There are so many benefits of peace, thousands of benefits of peace. I can't count it, but that we don't have any benefit of war or at all, and we will be under Russian leverage. I don't believe Artsakh people future will be really good for. I don't believe about it, because under Russian leverage, all the countries are suffering. So for an independent Artsakh, for an independent Armenia and Azerbaijan, I think we should struggle for that as well.
Thank you, Garo. We are coming up on past our hour, and I want to thank you for a really exhilarating and exciting conversation, and I want to thank you for your thorough answers and your really thoughtful responses. And I want to give you an opportunity to say any final words you want to make to our viewers. If there's anything you'd like to add, please do so.
Thank you very much, Karnig and Garo. Շատ շնորհակալ եմ, շատ ուրախ եմ. And I want to say to everyone that really today is the day to think about peace. Of course, but we should be ready for war as well. And we are fighting for every day. We are fighting every day. We are struggling for democracy. We should always be ready for war. That we saw that we were not, but we should every day think about peace to really be stronger. How can Armenia and Armenian people can be stronger? We should really think about it. With the way we did for 106 years, unfortunately, we could not succeed with shouting at Turks. It didn't work. But how can we really be strong? That is the question. How can we have a strong Armenia and strong Artsakh? Really, we should think about it. How to get to that point. I'm every day, every moment, I'm thinking about it. Thank you very much, Karnig and Garo.
Thank you so much, Garo. And we wish you much strength, resilience, and of course safety in the struggle that you undertake every day, and bring the ideas of freedom, of conscience, of human rights to Turkey. And we thank you for your efforts, and we will continue to follow your good work and wish for the best in all of your undertakings. And with that, I want to ask my co-host Garo Ghazarian for his closing thoughts.
Thank you, Karnig. Սիրելի Garo Paylan, շատ շնորհակալ եմ այս հրավերը ընդունելու համար։ Հուսամ գաբի մեջ կշարունակենք մնալ։ Կգնահատեմ քո ռոմանտիզմը եւ լավատեսությունը։ Իսկապես կգնահատեմ եւ գուզեմ ասել, որ ամեն նյութերու շուրջ ես եւ դուք չենք համաձայնիր, բայց քոնը երբ չենք համաձայնիր, քաղաքավարոլ են անհամաձայն կգտնվենք։ Համաձայնենք, որ համաձայն չենք որոշ գեդերու շուրջ եւ փորձենք գտնել այն ճանապարհը, վստահ եմ, որ դուք ալ համաձայն եք, սիրելի Garo, որ իշա հայ ազգին է։ Ես իշա հայ ազգի վերնակրով ես իմ փակման երկու խոսքս ասեմ, Karnig եւ սիրելի Garo, ես կուզեմ նշել Ռուբեն Դերմինասյանը։ Ռուբեն Դերմինասյանը, he was an Armenian politician and a revolutionary of the Armenian Revolutionary Federation, who played an important role in the Armenian national liberation movement and later in the First Republic of Armenia. He was actually the defense minister of Armenia from May 5th, 1920 to, I want to say, November 20th, 1920, about 6.5 months. So what happened to Ruben Derminasyan? After the fall of the First Republic of Armenia to Soviet forces in December of 1920, he went to Zangezur, where ARF forces under the leadership of Ghazarian had declared the Republic of Mountainous Armenia and continued their anti-Soviet resistance. He stayed in Zangezur for quite some time, and thereafter he fled to Iran with Ghazarian's army, then moved to Paris to continue his intellectual and political activities. In the years that followed, he traveled to Palestine, Egypt, disseminating the ideology of the ARF, the very same ideology that kept the Armenian diaspora for over 100 years alive and vibrant post-Armenian genocide. So he returned to Paris in 1948. He wrote for the ARF's Hyrenic newspaper and wrote his memoirs, which were released after his death in 7 separate volumes titled Memoirs of an Armenian Revolutionary. He died November 27, 1951, and this is what I want to close with, what he said. Garo, it's kind of eerily reminiscent of what you're saying in some respects. He said, and I quote, «Եթե հայ ժողովրդի շահը բահանչեց մի օր սեղմել Թուրքի ցերկը, պիտի մոռանաս, թե այդ ցերկը տատախված է քո հոր արյան մեջ։ Ժողովուրդների համար չկան մշտական բարեկամներ ու մշտական թշնամիներ, կան մշտական շահեր եւ վնասներ։ Այնքան ժամանակ, որ չկարողանաս զսպել քո զգացումները, չես կարող ժողովրդի առաջնորդ դառնալ։ Կմնաս ամփոխավար բանաստեղծ, եւ որ ավելի վատ է, դու չէ, որ կմղես ամփոխը, այլ ամփոխն է, որ իր ետևից կքաշի քեզ։ Իմ հույսս, my hope is that we have leaders in Armenia and hopefully soon in Turkey that will show that they are not driven by the masses, the anarchical masses, but that they are driven by a drive for true peace, for true respect for human and civil rights, and respect for people's right of self-determination wherever they may be, whatever religious or ethnic affiliation they may possess. Garo Paylan, continue the good fight. May God bless you, and know that we are a phone call away. Good day, everyone.
Mesaj şat şuna gelin.
Thank you, Garo.